you are likely going to see an empty page here because you have not yet set default. So to do that, we click Adjust Report Contents, top center of the map, big green button. And then you can check off your defaults here, okay? So let's say I want property boundary topography, near schools ranking, walk score. These are all defaults. Let's say I want open data. I'm going to click on this and click on the star. I'm going to click on the Vancouver property inquiry. Let's say I want the tax and utility balances. And then let's have a look at the GIS here. So let's go for lot dimensions, legal, and infrastructure. And I'm going to make that a default as well. So what you want to do when you're setting up your own menu is go through these data sources. My recommendation to you is to select all of them the first time you're looking at it. Go through each data source, see what's relevant for your own work, and then go back into this menu and set up your defaults accordingly, okay? One thing to keep in mind, municipal data sources are different in every municipality. So I just set defaults in Vancouver. When I head over to a parcel in Burnaby, this is going to be unchecked. There won't be any default selected here. So if it's my first time looking at a property in Burnaby, I go back into this menu and I check off my Burnaby municipal data sources as well, okay? I have my Google Views. I have my LTSA integration. This will only appear to you if you've input credentials in your AutoProp account. If you have not, you will not see this in the menu, okay? I get my owner initials for free. I have the option of purchasing a title document. One thing you need to note here, you should never, ever, ever do what I'm about to show you right now. Click this and then make this orange star yellow. What I've just done is made title purchase a default in my report. So that means every time I create a full report, I'm charging myself for a title document. Obviously, we don't want to do that. So make sure the title document box is unchecked in your full report menu. You do not want that to be a default ever, okay? This is what it should look like once you've integrated. Just registered owner as the default here, and then make sure that star is yellow, okay? Then we have some more integrations here with the NHS store. You don't need a subscription to see this. This is the this is the transactional integration. What that means is you can purchase individual project summaries with this particular feature. You don't need the credentials here. However, if you do have credentials for the NHS Live, you can input that into the system and pull unlimited project summary reports. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like in the full report as well. I have my tax report. I have my residential comps. I also have commercial comps, and I have the property history details as well. And then I have commercial edge, okay? So in terms of setting defaults on the residential or the commercial comps, what you want to do is typically start with a more general search, just because you want to make sure you're not pulling in like 500 listings. And from there, you can actually refine your criteria in the report itself. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm just going to give you an example of the defaults I've set here. So 1 kilometer radius, I typically don't touch area or sub area, but you're more than welcome to. Status, I've put in active and sold, and you know you have quite a few options here. Property type, again, you have options. Price range, you can see that here. List date range, I put in a parameter for the sold date. Let's go 30 days back. Might not get anything in this market, but we'll see what we can find. And then for everything else, I've left it open. And as I mentioned, when you're in the app itself, when you're in the report, you can go in and refine once you've seen your initial batch of comps, okay? And then the residential property history detail, pretty straightforward. You get the same for commercial as well. I'm going to leave those out for now. So I update, and then whatever changes I've made will be reflected in the report as it loads up here, okay? Before we dive into it, I'm just going to show you a few more options here. You can add in your own notes to these reports. So anything you want to add as an addendum to any of the data sources, you can do that here. So let's say for the CMA, you want to put in your recommended list price, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to test add note. You can format it as you see. You can, you know, center, bold, italicize, etc. Add the note. And then it shows up at the top. Now, if it's relevant for the comparables, what you want to do is actually drag it down to that area in your report. The way that I do that is by clicking on Sort, top right corner, take my CMA portion, and I pull it down to Resi Comps here. Okay, save. And then when I save the PDF, that is the order of the data sources within that saved PDF. Okay, lastly, add PDF image. You can actually add in your own files to this AutoProp report. So let's say you've taken pictures of the interior, exterior, backyard, whatever the case may be. You can drop that here. If you have any other PDFs you want to merge in, say for example, the summary sheet, if you want to drop that into the report, you can do that. Or if you want to head over to eValue and pull in the entire assessment page, you can do that as well. Just know that assessments are included in this full report as well. Lastly, you can edit your cover page. So what we're using for the cover page is the Google Street View. I'm going to click on this and show you how it works. You can see a big tree is blocking the property in this case. You can actually upload your own image entirely if this is not suitable, or you can actually move this around and kind of see if you can get a different perspective here, which you can't really. This is a massive tree and it looks like they took the picture in the middle of spring. So I think we might be stuck here, but you can at least see how the option is there to adjust. Okay, and then confirm, and that's it, pretty straightforward. So any questions so far on setting up defaults, adding in notes, adding in your own documentation and images, editing the cover page, and sorting the order of your full report? If you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself or message in the chat.
I had a good question. When I click the Vancouver property inquiry, after I generate the report, a red pop-up came up and it asked for please adjust options for Vancouver property inquiry data sources. So then I just unclicked it and it worked. So
yeah, so there's a tiny little bug. It's not really a bug, it's just not super user friendly, and I'll show you what happens. So if you have a data source with sub options like this and you haven't selected any of them, it's not going to let you move forward. And it gets a little finicky. If you click update here, it's going to do this up here as well. So what you have to do is anytime there's an option where there is sub options below, make sure one of those are checked off and the orange star is yellow, and then you should be able to update. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that worked. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Was there any other questions? I think we had some individuals unmuted.
Justine, I've got a question. It's Barry. When you were doing your municipality check, so for example, we have North Vancouver City, North Vancouver District. Do we have to specify that one of the two, I guess? I'm assuming so, but I don't know that.
So when you say municipality check, what do you mean? Are you referring to both?
Well, when you're choosing your municipality, is there a distinction between North Vancouver District and North Vancouver City, or did you guys, or is it combined as one?
It's disparate. It is separate.
Oh, so it is separate. So you'd have to do, if you want to do a city search, you got to put in city as opposed to district in North Vancouver.
Right, but when you say a city search, what specifically are you referring to? Are you referring to the municipal data sources in the full report?
At the very
Got it. Okay.
You were talking about municipalities, and it hit me right away thinking, well, here we have, you know, people call it North Vancouver, but it's really a city and a district. So we got to know what we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, so what actually happens is the parcel is automatically associated with whatever territory it's in. So if you're in North Van District, then you're going to get the North Van District integration here. You don't have to take any action. What you want to do is just make sure you have default set. And I'll give you a quick example here. I'm going to exit out, and I'm just going to zoom out. And why don't we head over to North Van District? So if I want to get to a general area as opposed to a civic address, switch from AutoProp search to Google Maps. Okay. And let's just zoom out here. And what I can do is I can turn on the municipal boundaries as well. Let me zoom out. So here's my boundary. District, city. And I'll just do a quick comparison here. So we have a parcel. Oh, that's multifamily. Let's go down here. There we go. Okay. Okay. So we're going to look at this one first in the city. Full report. Adjust report contents. And then here's my North Bend city integration. Okay. So I just open that up and check off whatever's relevant for my work.
Okay.
So it's pretty straightforward. But what you want to do is each time you're in a new territory where you haven't created a report before, make sure you're setting up those municipal defaults as well, because you don't want to miss out on those great GIS snapshots that are included. Infrastructure dimensions, it's always great to have on there, right?
Yeah.
So,
fantastic. Thanks for answering my question. And I truly am impressed with your knowledge.
that's good. I'm glad I could be of service today. I'm going to head back over to our Vancouver parcel that we were looking at, just because we had that full report open on it already. Bear with me for just a moment here. There we go. Okay. So is there any other questions here on the full report so far? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you do have one. Oh, okay. I'm going to keep moving here. All right. So now we're looking at the full report. So we can actually navigate pretty quickly using GoTo. I'll give you an example here. I just go down to Google Views. Just an FYI for you once you get comfortable with the full report. So here's our Google Views. You get your aerial perspective and your street view with that big tree. Now, if this is not exactly, you know, print friendly, what you can do here is click Adjust. We're going to take out the street view in this case because I don't think anyone needs to see that tree, and then we'll update. We'll give it a moment, and there's just our aerial perspective. There's my ownership information. So I'm, again, getting the initials of the first individual on title here. And then I have my property boundary and topography. And this is a great little feature that our developers actually created. So what you're seeing, first of all, is the parcel boundaries. And it's giving you the elevations of those boundaries here. So let's say I switch this over to points. If I hover my mouse over these points, I'm getting the elevation all along the perimeter. You can see the corresponding pin drop on the satellite image. Now, this is not survey level, of course, but the feedback that we've gotten from commercial brokers and developers specifically is that it's an excellent starting point. Okay, they do use this feature significantly. So the accuracy is definitely there, just not survey level. Okay. Here's my tax report, super self-explanatory. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with this integration. Then you get your transaction history, so we can see this is dated from back in 1978. And then we have our residential comps as well. And here I'm getting, let's see, about 21 results. At the bottom, I get my sold price average, my list price average, days on market average, price per square foot floor area, and lot size as well. Okay, something to be aware of. You can actually adjust these averages if you're looking at your comps list. Let's say you want to take any of these out. That average is going to recalculate for you immediately, as you can see here. Okay, if I want to narrow down my results, I can click on Adjust in the actual data source here. And then let's say I want to put in a price range. So what I'm going to do is max this out at, let's say, 2.3. And then update. And let's see what we get. And then we see that note that we had added in earlier. All right, so here's a little bit more of a refined list. There's my new averages calculated. Now, the fantastic thing about the CMA integration here is you can actually download the listing pages of the comparables, okay? So if I'm looking at one of these and I want to see the realtor notes, I can click just like that, download the listing page here, and then let's say I want realtor and the 10 photo flyer display for now. Download those sheets, give it a second. Bear with me, I am on Wi-Fi as we speak, so it may be a little bit slow here. Okay, so now I'm getting the listing page for the comps that I selected, okay? You obviously get a ton of information here. You can decide whether it's truly a comp or your own listing. And we can keep scrolling down and see the 10 photo flyer display as well. So there's our pictures, okay? So let's say we don't want to include this information in the final report. You can always remove it. And the way that we do that, excuse me, I'm just going to scroll up a bit here. There's a remove this part button. Just click on that. And it's gone, okay? And here's our second one. Again, we can click, and it's gone. And then, of course, this is not really relevant, but we just used it as an example. If you want to delete any of the data sources in the report itself, just like that, okay? Any questions on the Paragon integration in the full report? You can go ahead and unmute yourself or message in the group chat. I'll give it a couple of seconds here for anyone to have the opportunity to ask. No, okay, we're gonna keep moving. All right, so, excuse me. Next we have our schools integration. So here's my subject in red. Here's my catchment school, the gold pin. If I hover over the nearby schools, I get their catchment territories as well, okay? Below this graphic, you get the grades covered, Fraser Institute rating out of 10, 5-year average, Fraser Institute rating out of all schools in the province, 5-year average, special programs, walking, driving, and transit time from your subject property to the school itself. You get the same for secondary. And you can move this kind of graphic around to make sure your entire catchment is included, or you can just leave it as is. Then you have your walk score, transit score, and bike score. This is a hyperlink taking you to the relevant page on the walk score website where you can find out a little bit more about amenities around your subject. Beyond that, we have our NHS store integration. This is showing me multifamily projects within a vicinity around my subject. So let's say I'm interested in some land assembly prospecting. I can use this tool as a reference point to see what the statuses of nearby development applications are. So I see there's a few sold out. There's a couple of contemplated, which are typically at the stage of a development application. And Urban Analytics is actually getting that information from AutoProp because we do map out development applications. And we'll get into that when we look at land use layers. Then we have our actives in green. You can click, you get the name of the project, but because this is contemplated, there's not a ton of information on it yet, okay? Whereas the sold out or the active projects will have more information, renderings, etc. So 7 units here, it's called the Oliver, and if you want to purchase the project, you can add to cart and just use your credit card to purchase, okay? No surcharges from AutoProp. You're paying what you would pay on Urban Analytics directly as well. Now, if we scroll down, we get that full list of nearby projects, and you can actually buy all of them at once if you want. All right, we'll keep moving here. So here's my open data. So I get my rights of way and easements, and you can see they're marked out with the red and with the blue as well here, okay? This is Vancouver open data. All right, I'm gonna keep moving down. Property tax and utility report. So you can see that there's a balance due here, and there's no outstanding though. lot dimensions. This is my GIS snapshot. So I've pulled in lot dimensions, infrastructure, and legal. And that's the report. And as I said, you know, you can add in any of your own PDFs and images as well. If we want to generate a PDF here, same process as with the summary sheet. So top right corner, big blue button, generate. I can deselect any of these data sources if I don't think they're relevant for my purposes. We'll give it a moment to load up. You can email directly from our application, or you can just save the PDF to your desktop. So here's the email option, and then here's the download PDF option. And I'm going to show you in a moment what that looks like. Bear with me for just a second here. Just switching the tabs. There we go. Okay, so here's our full report. So we recall the Google Street View had a huge tree in front of it. This is where we'd probably want to upload our own image. Or if you don't have an image, you can always throw your branding up top. Maybe change the full report to no branding, and then you can insert a big graphic of your own branding, your logo, your name, contact information, etc. Okay, and then there's the full report. All right, so any questions on the full report? You can unmute yourself, or you can message in the live chat. I'll just give it a second or two. No, okay, I'm going to keep moving here. All right, so to get back to my map view, X top right corner, and I'm back to the map. Okay, we're going to have a look at our land use layers next here. I'm going to get rid of that parcel. So with AutoProp, you can actually pull in zoning information and land use plans throughout BC wherever we have coverage. Okay, so you're not limited to your home area. You can go to the interior, you can go to Vancouver Island, you can go up north. We have a ton of coverage in a wide variety of places, essentially wherever open data exists in the province, we're endeavoring to pull it into the system. Okay, best part about it, it's a uniform method of access. So you're not having to skip from GIS to GIS. You can just use AutoProp and pull in the designations where they exist. So I'm going to use the Canby corridor as an example here because we've mapped out local area plans on a block by block basis based on their density planning. Okay, so to access land use designations, layers button, top right, land use, third option down from the main view. And then you can see I can toggle these on. Wherever there's this symbol here, an I that's stricken out, the layer doesn't exist in your current frame of reference. So we know in Vancouver, the plans are referred to as NCPs as opposed to OCPs, where if we go to Burnaby, you're going to see the OCP layer available. Okay, so you just toggle on. Super straightforward, just like that. And now you can see those local area plans mapped out. If I click, I'm getting the zoning with hyperlink, the NCP with hyperlink, and the local area plan with hyperlink. Okay, so as an example, the Canby corridor plan here, this is going to take me to the relevant page within the Canby corridor PDF on Vancouver's website for this particular block. Townhouses Oak Ridge, up to 1.2 FSR, up to 3 stories. I'm going to click on this and show you. Just bear with me because I do have to change the screen that I'm sharing here, and that typically takes just a moment. So switching over now. There we go. Okay, so we're on the Canby corridor plan here, and as I mentioned, I'm on Wi-Fi. So you'll notice this blue bar is loading. What it's doing is attempting to take me down to page 96, but because of my internet connection, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but you can see how it works. We'll come back to it in a moment, unless this chooses to load very quickly. We'll just maybe give it the opportunity to. Let's see what happens here. Almost there. There we go. Okay, taking us down now. Well, it's saying it's taking us down, but oh, it's actually frozen. Okay, but you can see, there we go, 96. Okay, so here's the page, and this is actually a little bit frozen right now. And again, that's because of my internet connection, my apologies. But you can see this takes us right down to the relevant page within the document, making your life a lot easier in terms of having to do the research yourself, okay? We're doing a lot of that kind of digging through for you. All right, so any questions on the land use layers and linking over to the relevant documents on the city website? You can unmute
did you
yourself.
just click on when you selected zoning, local area plan, and NCP, and then there's different colors, did you just left click on them, or did you do something else too?
Yes, I did. I left clicked directly on top of the shapefile to identify the plan that I was looking at. And in this case, multiple plans, because you're seeing zoning, NCP, and local area plans. So it's just a left click.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Because some of them, like, it just says like NCP, South Canby, and then zoning. So I guess that's what you mean by some of them have like 3, some of them just have 1.
Yes, yeah. So if you're looking at my map right now, not every area is going to have a local area plan. So I can actually see this entire neighborhood here doesn't have any local area plans on it. It just has the zoning and the NCP. So here I can take this off. Right now you're seeing, we'll do it one by one here. So the NCP is typically one color, but it's differentiated with an opaque line here. So this is giving us the boundary of any NCP. So if I click on one side, I'm getting Oak Ridge. On the other side, I get Kerrisdale. We go up here, South Canby, and so on, okay? We can turn this off, and we can look at zoning now. So again, the shape files of different colors represent different zoning. So I click here, RS1, I click here, C1. I click down here, this might be site specific. Oh no, it's RT2. And then we go over here, C2, and so on. Okay, so the colors are typically designating different plans that you're looking at. But when you have them overlaid like this, it can get a little bit convoluted. Typically, I recommend you kind of start with everything, and then you can kind of toggle off to get a clearer picture here. So right now, for example, I have just local area plans on the map. And if you're finding it a little bit hard to see because the colors are kind of blending with the base map, look at the map overlay options top right corner here. I can switch from Mapbox Aerial to Esri or to Bing, or I can use some drawn maps over here. I can do the night view. There's a ton of options for you to make it super clear. Okay, but from here, it's just a left click on the shape file. So I have local area plans again activated. I can see that they just don't exist outside of the Canby corridor in this particular region. Let's say if I travel west or north, we'll see if we can get some other local area plans to populate here. We get our Falls Creek area, and you can just click. And it's going to tell you all about that local area plan there. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have another question. Sorry to ask so many, but what works for developers, the feedback that you've gotten? Because local area plans usually mean that it's kind of under study and it hasn't really, you know, it could change, right? Because you still have to go in front of council, whereas zoning is something that's already existing. So have you gotten feedback as to like what, you know, what developers, what commercial brokers are doing and how they're using this tool?
Absolutely. I'll give you a little bit of history about AutoProp. We were actually kind of, I guess the idea for AutoProp came up in 2014 with one of the principals at Mosaic Homes. And he was working with an IT professional who ended up being our CEO, Charles E. Dobell. What they were actually looking to accomplish is to come up with a due diligence platform that allowed developers, their research and analysis departments, or commercial brokers to complete the land assembly or site redevelopment potential process quicker. Okay, so rather than having to visit disparate sources, head over to the GIS of the city, pull in development applications, etc., the idea was to amalgamate all the relevant information in AutoProp. So I can tell you that developers are heavy in their usage of local area plans because it tells you what the area it has in terms of potential for redevelopment here. If I'm clicking on this, for example, maybe if I'm prospecting, you can see this is up to 3 stories, but if I click to the left, it's up to 8 stories. It's telling me like the viability and the max best use of an area. So if I'm a developer and I'm looking at these two, maybe I'm going to go for prospecting this side before I go for prospecting this side. Or if I'm a developer who receives land assemblies, then I'm going in and I'm checking viability by, again, setting these plans, looking at the FSRs. Obviously, they're calculating their own pro formas, but they're using AutoProp as kind of a due diligence platform to help in that process. Not only that, you can also keep an eye out on development applications in any given territory to see who's applying to do what and where, and who's been successful, who's been unsuccessful, etc. So for example, in Vancouver, I'm looking at an active application right now and I can see exactly what it's for. It's just a great way for development companies to quickly understand what the competition is doing in any given area, and just to have all their sources that they're typically visiting amalgamated in one site. So we really have a majority of developers in the Lower Mainland here using the platform, and they have been pretty much since our genesis, because it was our initial client, or I should say our initial silo that we were kind of going after. But then we quickly found that realtors also had a massive interest in the system. And then we've honestly pretty much covered the entire gamut now of the real estate industry in terms of different profession types. Commercial brokers, obviously, from the beginning as well, mortgage brokers, appraisers, legal professionals, you name it. Everyone is pretty much using the system at this point as a due diligence platform. And, for those who are interested, as a prospecting platform as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does for sure. Because to be ahead of the game, the local area plan, I think, is what to look for. Because then you're kind of, if it's already zoned, then a lot of people have probably been after it, and the price is probably factored in. Whereas if you're kind of ahead of everyone else and you know what's happening in an area that hasn't gone through all the changes, then I guess that's where the money is made for your clients.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'll use this as a segue into the CRM Validator package as well, because if you're looking specifically for land assembly or, just searching in general for sites with redevelopment potential, AutoProp is the platform to do that. Again, that's what a lot of developers are doing, commercial brokers and realtors specializing in land assembly. So what we typically recommend is, you have a look at zoning, NCP, local area plan, or OCP if you're in another municipality. And then you identify those plans that indicate redevelopment potential is there. So for example, here, 4-story podium with up to 18-story tower element. I mean, that's huge potential there. You can click here, up to 18 stories, and so on. From here, what you're doing is you're activating development applications because 2 reasons. You want to see, again, who has successfully applied for development applications in that territory, and you want to see what their local area plan was to compare, the application submission versus what the designation was. And the other reason you're activating these layers is to eliminate prospecting territories, right? So if I see there's a dev app or an inactive dev app on any given block of properties, typically I want to avoid them because I know it's a waste of my time to go and see, do some door knocking or cold calling and see if, a group of owners are interested in selling as an assembly, right? So from here, what I can do is I can select properties like this. And select all these properties here. And I'm just going to right click these ones at the end. Actually, sorry, bear with me. I have some other properties selected. I'm just going to get rid of those first. Okay, let's try this again. So we go back. And I'm going to finish these off as well. And this is, again, a main workflow for commercial brokers and for developers as well who are actively looking for sites and acquiring. So I have all these properties selected. They're all on local area plans, but they're different ones. What I want to do now is load data on these parcels. So I go lower left corner. I see this pulsing pin here. I can click on it, and I can load data. Okay. I'm going to point out here what's available to you as an REBGV member versus what's available as part of the upgrade package. Okay, so as a member, you're getting access to the tax report data, and wherever available, you'll get municipal data as well. Okay, this is not available everywhere, but in Vancouver, we do have it. As an upgrade option, you can pull in owner initials in the properties table, and you can check for registered landlines on Canada411.ca. Okay, so this is part of the CRM Validator package, available for $600 plus tax, and that's an annual license. Okay, so I'm going to pull these in, and I'm going to pull in my tax report, lot size, sales history, year constructed, let's see, assessment values. These are always good. And then I update. And whatever selections I made in this menu, they're going to save as defaults for any future property table loads that I do, but it can be changed at any time. Just keep that in mind, okay? Now we'll start with the tax report here. The reason I want to pull this information in is because I want to see when the most recent sales were. I want to see the year built. Typically, if you're looking for redevelopment potential, you're going to naturally target older homes for demolition. Like if something was built in 2017, is the owner going to sell that home as part of an assembly? Highly unlikely, right? And then you get your land value, improvement value, and your total value here. You're getting owner initials, and you're getting occupant summary. And this is going to pull in registered landlines wherever they exist. And that's coming from Canada411.ca, okay? Keep in mind, there's a lot of cord cutters in this day and age. And the one thing I can imagine here is the Canby Corridor plan for redevelopment. I mean, many people know that it's very ripe for development applications here. I would imagine some of these homeowners don't want to have their number online anywhere publicly, maybe with the expectations that they'd be getting calls. On the other hand, you'd think some of them would want their number online if they know the value they can get out of a land assembly sale, right? So just be aware. We're not seeing a ton of numbers here, which is interesting. I actually would have expected a little bit more, given they're all single family homes. But what you're doing here is you're comparing the owner initials with the registered landline. And where they match up, you're going to be able to assume with 99% certainty that this, in fact, is the same individual, right? So you can see the Golinsky matches up, but the first name is different. So this may be the spouse, and then you can see the registered landline as well, okay? Now, the other benefit of the CRM Validator integration is, specifically if you're looking at land assembly, if you start to see the same initials on adjacent properties, you can assume that they may have been already purchased as part of a potential future development application and multifamily project, okay? Or if you're seeing some type of commercial entity, again, you might want to make the same assumption there that someone's going in to purchase these properties for the purposes of a redevelopment there. Okay, so this is an example of commercial ownership, and this is an example of private ownership. All right, any questions here? And this can be exported very quickly.
Justine, I had a question, and probably maybe you mentioned it earlier. It's Barry again, still blown away by your knowledge. At the very beginning, for example, the land use and some of these other information, how often is that being updated? So if we download something, are we pretty much guaranteed to be able to say to our client, this is the current status, or this is the best I can do without going right to City Hall or District Hall?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. AutoProp is essentially a conduit for the information, but you want to be aware of a few things. Depending on the municipality that you're in, we may have an automatic integrated feed, or we may have a manual feed that requires manual updates. And the task that's run to make sure everything is up to date is weekly on Wednesdays, okay? So, I mean, plans don't change very often, but on a weekly basis, we're detecting any changes in those plans, and then typically the changes are implemented overnight, okay? They may even be implemented within an hour or two, But the information is, I would say, very, very up to date. It just depends on the municipality that you're in. Like I said, with some, there's that automated integration. With others, it's a manual task involved where we have to kind of manually update our land use plan to reflect any changes on a municipal website. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. As usual, you're on top of it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm going to give you
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Are you guys getting rid of this service at the end of the year?
Which the CRM Validator?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we initially had plans to deprecate the CRM Validator, but to be honest, those plans are kind of on the back burner now. So I don't believe we're going to be doing it. If anything, we might see some improvements this year. It all depends on the type of uptake we see. It depends on how many individuals are subscribing to it. If it's a significant amount, then we'll invest in improving it. If it's not, then we'll probably just leave it as is. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, because I know you may have spoken with Yoop, who had indicated that we were deprecating it. We did have a plan to do that, but in recent weeks, actually, we've noticed a pretty significant uptake in individuals subscribing themselves to the CRM Validator. We're feeling that we should just leave it as is, because obviously the value is still there if we're not actively selling it, yet individuals are signing themselves up, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you another example here of the CRM Validator. So we have these properties selected, going into the pin lower left corner. I'm going to go to load data here. I'll just go for the 50 and then update, and let's see what kind of results we can get here. Now, if you've used this in the past, you may notice there's less numbers that you may have seen previously. The reason being, we switched from 411.ca to Canada411.ca, and the reason we switched is because we noticed that 411.ca had a lot of outdated numbers associated with parcels, whereas Canada 411 didn't quite have that same issue. So though we get less results, you're getting more accurate results here. Okay, so here's another example of a name that's matching up. Jim Danda, and you can see the last name matches there, and again, you can assume this might be the individual's actual legal first name, and this might be their nickname, and then you get the registered landline there. So unfortunately, I've chosen some pretty terrible examples for parcels and their phone numbers here. We're not getting a ton of results, but where they do exist, you can see that the initials are matching up in most cases, which is fantastic, right? All right, this one doesn't match up. So this might be a tenant. And we'll exit out of this. Does anyone want to look in any particular territory today for this information, registered landlines, just to see if it would be relevant for their own practice? Keep in mind that CRM Validator package also includes the owner initials for free, okay? In the sense that you're not...
Let's try Lynn Valley.
Lynn Valley? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, a quick question actually. When you pulled that up, I saw there was numbers, and I know you said first you have to register. What was that? What was it that we had to register for again?
Oh, the LTSA enterprise account for owner initials.
And is that included in the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver for members?
Okay, so the LTSA account is for purchasing title, and you're absolutely able to set up your own account. The only difference for the enterprise account is it requires a little bit more verification. They're going to ask for your business number, your GST number, because they want to verify that you are in fact a real estate professional attempting to use the service. But yes, you do have access to it, and you just need to set up the account. And I did send a link for our AutoProp guide on setting up the LTSA enterprise account. It's in the chat there.
Oh yeah, I got that link. I just wanted to know that like every time we did this, would we get charged?
No, absolutely not. The only charge involved on AutoProp for reports, or sorry, for the LTSA is title purchase in the full report. So you're actually purchasing the full title. those owner initials are going to be included in the CRM Validator package, yes, that you're paying for, but you're not paying for individual ownership information there. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, so the enterprise one does have the initials and the phone number for some of them, right?
So the enterprise LTSA account is just the name of the third-party account that you're integrating into our system. Though we are a subsidiary of the LTSA, we do operate separately. So you need to set up that LTSA enterprise account in order to get the ownership portion of the CRM Validator package in the properties table only. The owner initials in the summary sheet are included through your real estate board licensing. Because I know someone had asked that earlier, I'm not sure if that was you, but the ownership initials in the summary sheet will be available to you for free without you needing to purchase the CRM Validator package. You just need to sign up for that enterprise account.
Okay, and then when you do sign up for the enterprise account, because some of them I saw had phone numbers as well, would they show up in the report too?
Yeah, so okay, so the phone numbers are part of CRM Validator. So that's not part of the enterprise. Yeah, so that's not.
My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
you got
okay.
it.
I was mixing them up.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is this okay for Lynn Valley here? Does this work? Us checking these parcels? Sorry, I missed to ask for us to head into this territory.
Hello.
Does this work? Okay, I'm gonna pretend that I heard a yes, and I'm gonna keep moving here. So I've selected some parcels in the territory, and I'm gonna go back to my properties table. I'm going to load data here. I'll go for the 50, update, and let's see what we can find. Okay, let's scroll through. Okay, we're getting some more numbers here. So this matches up, fantastic. This might be a tenant here. This matches up. This matches up, the last name matches up. You can see the initials might be one of the spouses. So you can see the results you're getting, it all kind of depends on the territory. Are you dealing with cord cutters? Are there new homeowners in the house that have disconnected a landline? It all depends, but we're getting some pretty great results here. Lots of matches. So this comparison is only available through the CRM Validator package, and that's for $600 plus tax for the year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the CRM Validator package?
What's the one-time deal coupon you're going to give us today for being in this webinar?
That's a great question. It depends on how many of you are interested in purchasing the CRM Validator. It all depends, because like I said, the individual price point is $600 plus tax for the year. If we get, say, 10 users, then I can definitely hook you up with a discount. Okay?
Tell you what, I can coordinate that on my side.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, so I'm just going to show you a few more things here, because we've gone through the main kind of residential workflows plus the land assembly workflow. Let's have a quick
I have a question.
Sure.
The LTSA account is part of the CRM validation package?
Okay, so the LTSA enterprise account is just a third-party integration that we allow for in AutoProp, where you can purchase title in our system. It also works for you if you're purchasing the CRM Validator package, because it enables you to pull in owner initials in the properties table.
Okay? It's not just part of the regular AutoProp, right?
It is, in the sense that you can make use of it in regular AutoProp as well. You simply have to integrate the account, and it's going to allow you to purchase title in the full report. You don't need to purchase any sort of upgrade in order to access titles in the full report.
Okay, so I don't know if your time let you or not, but if you have time, would you repeat again that how we can get to that part of this AutoProp, if it's possible?
So, okay, so is it the title purchase that you're referring to, or is
Yes.
it the property? Okay, the title purchase. Okay.
Yes.
So
The
what I've
information
done,
for the title.
got it. Okay. So what I've done is I've actually given you the link to the account, the guide on signing up for LTSA Enterprise.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. So just have a look at my last message in the group chat and click on that link, and it's going to help you understand how to sign up for the account. And then the other thing I would mention is if you're online, sorry, who am I speaking with? What's your name?
This is Farin Fasihi.
Okay, so what you can do is message us on our live chat. Do you see this live chat button, bottom right corner?
I can see right now in here, yes.
Perfect. So what you want to do is head over to this, click on send us a message. And what you want to say is, can you please help me set up LTSA Enterprise? Okay, and again, we can have someone direct you along with the process there. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So any other questions there before I move forward here? No? Okay. So we're going to have a quick peek at some commercial features on the system. We're going to start with the broker listings function, which is a pretty incredible integration that we have. Bear with me for just a moment here. My Wi-Fi is currently struggling. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out. And broker listings is our commercial marketplace. And what we've done is we've actually gone to all of the major commercial brokerage websites. We've pulled in the commercial listings from those websites. We've also included Spacelist. So with Spacelist, you're getting a lot of the smaller brokerages or any user-submitted listings from that particular feed. Okay? To access, layers button, top right, comps, and here's broker listings. Now, if we have any Fraser Valley Real Estate Board members joining us, this is not included in the real estate board licensing of the product. This is available to you under Commercial Pro, and that is $800 annually. Okay, so I can toggle this on like so. I want for sale, sold, I want for lease. Let's just look at everything here. I'm going to pull in all my brokers. I'm going to pull in all my property types because why not? And then you have the option of entering in parameters for size, sale price, and lease rate. My recommendation to you, leave this open. Just have a look at your results first, and then if you need to refine, you can go back in and adjust. Okay, search, and you can see how many listings populate. So have a look at the right-hand side. This is my legend. If I click on these pins, it's going to give me the hyperlink to the host website, Spaceless in this case. I get a lease rate, I get the opportunity type, property size, and I get a full description here. These green circles that you're seeing are indicating that there are 3 listings in close proximity. So single-digit listings in close proximity, 3, 8, 6, etc. The yellow circles, double-digit listings in close proximity. We do this just so there's not a cluster of pins on your map. Probably going to give you a headache if you just see pins everywhere. So we've kind of condensed them into these circles. But if you click on them, those listing pins will differentiate for you. Okay.
Hello.
Now if I scroll back out here, I'm going to show you how to access all of these listings in one fell swoop. The bottom left corner grid icon, this only appears when you've populated broker listings. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to give it a moment to load, and I can see all of those broker listings in one go. I can see all of the actual brokerages, my lease rate, sale price, type. These are all hyperlinked. So these are all going to take me to the relevant page on the host website. And you can see what those host websites are here. So you get the listing pamphlet, the contact, the broker, etc. Right?
Can you show us how you got to this page again, please?
Sure, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to exit out. And I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to repeat the workflow here. Okay, so I'm looking at an area where I know there's commercial properties. I go to the layers icon, top right, comps, middle option. Toggle on broker listings. Choose whatever I'm looking for here. Make sure you always have all the brokers included. You don't want to miss anything there. And then search. They've populated. Look in the lower left corner of the browser. You see a new grid icon appear, 3 by 3. Open comparables table. I'm going to do that now. And here's my table. So 141 listings have populated.
Thank you.
And then, you're welcome. And then from here, I can export to a CSV instantly. Okay, CSV can be opened in Excel, Mac, Numbers, and Google Sheets. And the CSV is going to include the listing link as well. So if you fire it off to a colleague or a client, they can quickly access the listing page from that CSV file as well. Okay, any questions on broker listings? No? Okay, I'm going to show you another enterprise feature here. Again, this feature is available to real estate board members of Greater Vancouver. If you're a Fraser Valley Real Estate Board member, this is also included in the Commercial Pro package. So again, available for $800 plus tax for the year. That's broker listings and zone search together. Real Estate Board Greater Vancouver members, fret not, that's available to you through your board's licensing of the system. Okay, so we click on zone search. Let's choose Burnaby in this case because we're in Burnaby. And then I can choose whatever zone I want to target in Burnaby. Let's try C1 here. I'm going to give it a nice bright color. Add, you have to click add and then done. So I'm going to zoom out now and I'm seeing all of the C1 in Burnaby. You can kind of see that fuchsia color there. Then you can go in, check for listings on these highlighted areas, or you can go in and select all the properties if you want to see one database, for example. Okay, so that's a zone search isolation tool. And this is available in a massive selection of municipalities and regional districts, and electoral districts. So you can use this anywhere you'd like. Aside from the zone search isolation tool, AutoProp also offers custom projects, okay? And it's a service available for purchase. So for example, if you want a database of all properties in, let's say, South Burnaby, land value of at least 1.5 million, and lot size over 5,000, we can pull that database for you. Like I said, there's a charge associated with it. But we offer that service as well. So if you're interested in doing prospecting right now, let us know what you're looking at targeting, or let us know your specialty, and we can actually help you identify what you may want to target. Okay, if there is an interest in that, I'd ask that you actually message us on the in-app chat, because we obviously tailor it based on your specific request. You know, it's obviously a competitive market as well, so I don't want you to put anything in the group chat right now if it's, you know, your own private database that you're going for. So someone's asking, why does it say spaceless versus broker? I'm not sure as to what you mean by that, but spaceless is a listing website that pulls in a number of different commercial listing feeds as well as user submitted feeds. Okay, so spaceless pulls in from a very wide selection of commercial brokerages. It's just a listing website. Broker, it's just the name of the tool, and it's funny because we were speaking with our UI UX designer just this week about broker listings, and she suggested we should change the name to something else, like commercial listings or something of the sort. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've covered quite a few workflows today. I think Andrew mentioned that he's going to get in touch with me with regards to the CRM Validator package. For any of you who are interested in those owner initials and registered landlines in the properties table, I would suggest you maybe have a chat with Andrew as well, and I'm happy to provide a discount if we do have a bulk purchase coming in. If any of you are interested in our consulting service, that's the custom projects and any other sort of targeted databasing that you want to do message in the live chat bottom right corner. We're happy to help you out there. And if you have any other questions, I'm going to be online here for another 5-10 minutes. I'm happy to answer specific questions you may have on the platform, regardless of whether we discuss them today or not. It's always great interacting with our users and understanding their specific use cases. So feel free to ask me any questions that you have at this time, and we'll stay on for another 5 to 10 minutes here. Okay. If you're done though, feel free to exit the webinar. I'm not sure, Andrew, if you have any other topic on today's agenda, or is it just the AutoProp training?
Just the AutoProp training. Is there anything else that you could suggest?
Yeah, we can go over a few more features as well. Let's have a look here. Why
Before
don't
we
we
do that, can you just quickly show you selected a few properties? Did you use the Polygon feature, or did you just, because I tried doing it and then it said there's a maximum area that you can choose?
That's a great question. Okay, so there's two multi-property selection tools. There's the rectangle tool that allows you to select north-south oriented properties just like this. And you'll notice that when you're making your selection, so when you're clicking and dragging, there's a blue shape file that appears. If you keep going, it's going to turn orange or red, depending on how you see, when your selection becomes too large. So what you want to do is shrink it back down to blue, and then your selection will take. Now, there's a few reasons why we kind of limit your ability to select multiple properties, because what we find is if we kind of release the restriction here, many people will find that their browser crashes just because of the data that's loading in the system. So that's why we kind of have a cap there. But if you want to try and target larger areas, there's a few tricks you can kind of work with here. So if I'm using the rectangle tool, you can see how this doesn't quite work, but if I make like a super narrow kind of selection, I can go down quite a bit, and then I can kind of just do that side by side, and it might make the process a little bit faster for me. Okay, and your other option, of course, is the Polygon tool, and that's for anything that's not north-south oriented, and we're actually in a good place to use that here. We have some very interesting shapes. So the Polygon, right next to the rectangle, click on that. It's allowing me to really draw any kind of shape that I want here. I'm just going to make a bit of an odd selection. You can see how that works though. If I've accidentally picked up something that I don't want to include, just click on the trash can and get rid of those just like that. Okay, Andrew, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hi, this
Okay.
is Karine again.
Hi, Farine.
Hi there. I didn't know in which part I can click that I send you the message for receiving the link.
Okay, no worries. You know what? I see your email address here. I've made a note of it. And what I'll do is I will email you the tutorial directly, okay?
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thanks for the presentation.
You're welcome. You're
It was
welcome.
fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay, so why don't we have a very quick look then at IBOM, our presentation tool. IBOM, I'm not exactly going to give you a tutorial of IBOM right now because it's pretty comprehensive. Typically, we recommend users get a little bit more comfortable with the main workflows of the system before they dive into IBOM, but I'll give you a presentation of it. So it's accessible, top left corner, the 3x3 grid that you see here, AutoProp application. So you click here, click on the IBOM option. It's going to open in a new tab. And I'm actually going to switch over my tab screen share here. Bear with me for just a moment. Okay, so can everyone see this new kind of map overlay that we're looking at? Map title, click me to change, etc. Are we able to see that? Okay, I'm just going to keep moving. Perfect. Okay, so from IBOM, it's our presentation tool. It's also used as a property information management tool. In terms of use cases, we have a lot of commercial brokers keeping their property databases in the system and updating them as they go along. We have residential brokers doing the same thing. If they have a specific neighborhood that they typically specialize in, they may have relevant properties for targeting in IBOM. And then they'll revisit on a periodic basis to update whatever values they have on those properties in the system. It sounds like a lot of words. I'm going to show you what it actually looks like now. Okay, so I'm just going to load a project in here. Let's try this one here. Load. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a bit. So what you're seeing here is development applications that I've plotted. And with this, you can see the full description of each one of these applications as well. You can actually completely customize the information that you're displaying in these bubbles. I'm going to take all of these off. Let's say I just want the local area plan and the development application. I can update my view. It's going to shrink it down for me. The other thing I can do here is I can click on this pencil and I can go down to the actual development application itself. Let's see what it's for. This one is for 6-story mixed use, 70. Sorry, I'm just going to try and select. Oh, it's not going to let me. 6-story mixed use, 70 residential strata units. I'm going to go down here. And I'm just going to take out this big chunk of text and just give up information. I'll say that. Okay, there we go. So we'll leave the status as well. I'll take everything out and save. And now you can see I get a nice precise little description of what this development application is for. I can do this for all of these. I'm just going to get rid of them. Speed it up a bit here, bear with me. There we go. Okay. So IBOM. You can display development applications around a subject property or around a subject site. So let's say you were working on a land assembly. You can showcase where your land assembly is, what your local area plan is, and then you can showcase nearby local area plans that match the FSR and the status of their development application and the number of units in that application. That's a great way to do like a quick little comparative analysis of the potential in a redevelopment site. Okay, so that's one option. You can also upload images here. So let's say you wanted to do the rendering for that development application. Let's see if I have it there, if I have any pictures here. No, I don't. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice a little bit here. Okay, so I don't actually have any images on my desktop right now that I could use, but like I said, you can upload a building rendering or anything that you think is relevant in terms of an image there. Okay, so that's one use case. I'm just going to click new, and I'm going to go over to another one, because what you can do with these is print this out as a PDF or have it as an emailed PDF. You can even merge it into an AutoProp report, and you can do CMAs here as well for residential properties or commercial properties. So you can see how this is split out with image as well. And you can customize the data you're displaying here, so you can see how my assessment values, list price, sell price, and then percent change from the list price. So for example, this one, 2.5, sold for 2.55, 2% above the list price, etc. Any sort of calculation you want, any values you want, you can upload them here, and then you can print it out as a landscape image on an 8x11. Okay, so that's IBOM. And again, For Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver members, this is available in your board's licensing of AutoProp. This is not available to Fraser Valley Real Estate Board members through their board membership. However, it is available for purchase as our Presenter Pro package, and that's available for $600 plus tax per month. Okay, no charge for Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver members. All right, so any other excuse me, any other questions here? I'm just going to point out a few help resources as well. But do we have any other questions on IBOM or any other features on the system? No? Okay, I'm going to point out our help resources once more. So we did talk about the live chat available bottom right corner. You can message us here Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we have the Skill Center, which is the main workflows available to you. Much of what we've actually already covered today, that you can click on these and it will open up the written guide for the workflow. Okay. Lastly, we have that Help Center. So grid icon, sorry, gears icon top right. Help Center, and again, it's going to open in a new tab for you. There's a ton of written guides and video guides as well on using the system and all the different workflows available to you. For example, let's say you wanted to compare sales history to assessment values. There's a guide for that. If you want to do a commercial property report, there's a guide for that. So have a look at the Help Center when you have some time, and feel free to ask us any questions as they arise. Okay. All right, so that about does it for the session today. I know if we go beyond a certain point, it's going to be difficult for actual retention. The one thing I would really want you to take away is the help resources that are always available to you. So make sure to make use of the live chat, and make sure to make use of the Help Center and the Skill Center as well. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for putting that on and for attending today. I'll definitely try to get a list to you of people who are interested in signing up for the additional services.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll come back to you with a subsidized rate. Okay?
Fantastic. That'd be great. I really appreciate it.
That's my pleasure.
Thank you, Jocelyn. That's a great presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everyone take care. Have a great weekend, and we hope to see you online very soon.
Yep.
Thank you, you too.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Hi, anybody who's interested, by all means, please email me. Put my email address in the chat box here.
Thank you, Andrew.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I'll post a transcript here of the chat questions that came up by request to the Sussex post group.
Andrew, are these being recorded?
With this one, yes, and unfortunately, it only started like 5 minutes into it, but that'll also be posted.
And where is this going to be posted?
Sussex Facebook page.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Andrew, are you going to be getting us some numbers with the, I guess, amount of people that you're going to have signed up? You can get us some end numbers.
Yes, Jesslyn's going to send me some details, but anyone who is interested in taking advantage of this group offer, please send me an email to the address I posted into the chat box.
Great, thanks.
All right, my pleasure. All right, thanks so much, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you on the Monday morning meeting. I can tell you that there's going to be some announcements made that I'm sure everyone's looking forward to.
Great. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Okay,
You
bye
too,
for now.
Andrew. Thank you.